week, Matt Hardy made a startling comparison of an AEW wrestler to a WWE Hall of Famer on his podcast, The Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy said that Orange Cassidy is like The Undertaker. They're great wrestlers with outlandish characters. Matt went on to talk about how Tony Khan depends on Orange Cassidy the way that Vince depends on Taker. So I wanted to know, how did you feel about this comparison?
Anytime Matt Hardy does anything, I'm very much bothered. But I must ask, reading that headliner, is it crack? Or are you still recovering from that bump from like 2019 when you got a concussion, bro? Because that was
Jesus.
a very bold comparison. A very bold comparison. Out of everyone on that roster to have compared to the Undertaker, and I feel like in general, most people would be sensitive to an Undertaker comparison because
Yes.
they're like completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Undertaker was something that was created by Mark Calloway himself, but that was also Vince's literal creation
Yep.
that he made. And it, yes, similar to Cassidy, blurred the lines of, reality and, the fakeness. But the Undertaker himself became such like a big character, such a grandiose character, that I felt like he was just like a staple in the business, to where the business was kind of built sort of around him and the other pillars at their respective times. And I just think that that's such a bold statement to compare Orange Cassidy to The Undertaker. The
Mm.
only thing that you could say that they have in common is that they have very odd gimmicks that work, but that you could have compared to anyone else. Like I had said in the chat, our truth to me is like a parallel to Orange Cassidy, minus the
Mm.
fact that Orange Cassidy has an actual legitimate title reign that's not the 24/7 title.
Mm.
To me, he's like a gimmick act, whereas the Undertaker has a gimmick act, but you take him as a very, very, very serious top competitor. And I don't even think Orange Cassidy to me is a top competitor. He's there in the mid card, like maybe top of the mid cards, but I never looked at the Undertaker as top of the mid cards. Kind of
Mm.
weird to me.
Mm.
I would have like named someone else like MJF or something, even though he's not. He's not an obtuse character. What obtuse character can you name? Is there anyone you could compare to the Undertaker? I want y'all to answer that. Is there anyone you would compare to the Undertaker that is in AEW? Because I don't think you really could name anybody. But Jordan, I want to hear your take on this god awful comparison.
So I'll answer the first question that you issued, in addition to the supporters answering it. I think the only person in AEW that can garner a Undertaker esque comparison is probably Malachi Black, simply because of the mystique, and it's dark and it's very, very eerie. Outside of that, I don't think that anything hits like The Undertaker, because it's The Undertaker. Now, as it pertains
Yeah.
to this take, as far as Orange Cassidy and Taker, obviously, I think they're very, very two different gimmicks, which I
Mm-hmm.
think is what makes the take very, very puzzling. Um, but like you said, like when Matt was like, "Well, Vince depends on Taker the way that Tony depends on Orange," but I feel like it's two very, very different scenarios. I feel like Vince depended on Taker to fill any kind of role or any kind of gap because he was a main eventer. Undertaker was, and yeah, he was the main eventer in WWE. Like he has done big match after big match after big match. Um he's had great matches, he's had great storylines, and I feel like he is a solidified main eventer. Whereas, like you said, Orange Cassidy was very much kind of a mid card guy, an international champion guy, and he's had some great matches. But I also think that the biggest difference for me between Undertaker and Orange Cassidy is something that we have yet to kind of, well, two things actually. Number one, the Undertaker was Vince McMahon's brainchild, right?
Yes.
Like you said, I think that Orange Cassidy was a gimmick that was in existence way before he even got into AEW, and I feel like
Was.
because one was created by the CEO of a wrestling promotion and the other one wasn't. I think is I think it's kind of shown in how both characters are treated, because the Undertaker was treated with so much care.
Mhm.
His WrestleMania streak was treated with so much care, obviously,
Mhm.
until Brock snapped the streak. And on top of that, I just also feel like the comparison, you know, while it may be justified or not, I feel like it's just very, very, it's too soon to make a comparison like that, considering how long Taker has been in the business for versus how long Orange Cassidy has been in the business for. But, that's just like a couple. That's just like my take on it. But I don't think that it's necessarily right or wrong. I think that we are looking at it from the standpoint of, we as the audience have already had this very much established relationship with the Undertaker, where we're kind of starting to learn to love, or maybe learn to dislike, Orange Cassidy. And because Orange Cassidy is newer in comparison to Taker, who has this phenomenal, legendary, one in a billion resume and body of work, I think it's just like, why are we putting Taker and Orange Cassidy in the same kind of sentence, if
It's
that makes sense?
insulting if you ask me. Um, I feel like maybe if you're trying to just maybe compare it in terms of treatment,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps. But as I said in the group chat, I feel like the only person that treatment wise that they feel like they're like the son to the company. Like when I think of the Undertaker, right, when he means to WWE, like I imagine like what the hell would happen if you just pulled him out of reality? Like
Whew.
imagine like a whole other universe where he's not part of it. Like the company just wouldn't be what it is. WrestleMania wouldn't be what it is.
Very true.
I feel like if you're gonna make that direct comparison, choose someone that put the company on the map. That without them, yeah, the show wouldn't be what it is. And I'm probably gonna go with Jericho for that one, despite the fact that he's not homemade and he's obviously from, um, you know, WWE. Do you have someone that you would put in mind in that place?
As far as like the son of
Yeah,
AEW,
yeah,
um, I think the one son of AEW is like MJF. I think that
yeah.
I think that Darby was like someone who once again was established before AEW. Sammy kind of was established before AEW. I think Jungle Boy may be another one you consider a son of AEW, but I feel like obviously MJF is just clearly more successful, and he's kind of been the prominent guy since the inception of AEW.
That's
So
fair.
I think that if there was anyone that you would say is like the son of AEW, it's MJF. I mean, he's been mentored. He was mentored by one of the founding fathers in Cody Rhodes. So it's
There you
like he's
go.
literally kind of like AEW embodied, even though he likes to talk about the bidding war of 2024. He's an AEW guy through and through, and he's the son of AEW. Um,
Interesting. All
that's my
right.
take on it. But we want to know how y'all feel about this take of Undertaker and Orange Cassidy. Is Matt Hardy right? Is he wrong? Whatever. Let us know in the comments. We're moving on